inside the fort can't touch them because the hill is completely blocking their view of the riflemen. Yet the riflemen are back there, along with Dearborn's light infantry. They get back there too. 300 guys there, plus a couple hundred riflemen. Then Continental forces begin to move on to the field. Specifically, if you're keeping count, Ebenezer Lerner's brigade. They're going to come onto the field. That's another 4 regiments of Continental infantry. And they're going to march from the point of the American encampment right here, and they're going to begin their attack on the Bremen Redoubt. Now, the Bremen Redoubt by this point was manned by about 200 plus German soldiers, with the French Canadians over here, and there were actually American loyalists on the other side, so you got everybody but British here at the fort. But they're being attacked by multiple times their numbers. So the advantage was quite clearly with the attackers. And so the attack began to develop. As the attack is being developed, Benedict Arnold, who decided to participate in the battle even though he didn't have particular allowance to do so, was making his attack with Poor's brigade on the Balcarres Redoubt, and it was unsuccessful, as I had said already. But then he saw what was developing over here, and he decided to join in the developing attack. So he rode, he's on horseback, he rode from the Balcarres Redoubt right through here, literally up through here, somewhere in here, joining a dozen riflemen who were coming in through the back from the Canadian cabins. And like I said, he was with them, mounted on a horse, and that is where, somewhere in this vicinity, he was very famously shot in the left leg, specifically near the ankle. He was shot near the ankle of his left leg. And as soon as he shot, or just after he shot, or just before he shot, his horse is also shot. And so his horse falls to the ground, ends up dying. Benedict Arnold is thrown to the ground as well. Now, as for the riflemen with Arnold, they come through at the same time. The riflemen in light infantry flood over that hill in front of Bremen's Redoubt, and the German defenders make a paltry stand and then quickly retreat. According to the scuttlebutt of the time, the Germans actually said, this is scuttlebutt, you know, it's not like forensics here telling us the truth, but they had reports that Colonel Bremen was trying to keep his men at their posts, keep them from fleeing, and in doing so, he pulled out his saber and killed 4 of his own men, upon which man number 5, and perhaps 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, etc., decided to kill him. So supposedly Colonel Bremen was killed by his own men while trying to keep them from fleeing. That is contemporary. It was reported at the time, but again, it is scuttlebutt. It's not through a direct eyewitness account, but rather from camp rumor. But it could be true. Colonel Bremen happened to be somebody we can document as being a little cruel to his men, shall we say. If we had time, I could give you examples of that. Anyway, this boot monument, as it's called, was erected here on the battlefield in 1887. Originally, it was located in front of the redoubt, and then it was moved back here to a more appropriate location as to where he was actually wounded on the 7th of October, 1777. You'll see on the front here it has a boot symbolizing his left leg where he was wounded, symbolizing near the ankle where he was wounded, and above it is a 2-starred epaulet. He would not have worn a 2-starred epaulet in 1777. He was a major general, but they didn't have stars on epaulets until later in the war, not in 1777. On the back of this boot monument, there's a long dedication to one of the great generals in American history, but it doesn't actually mention Arnold's name.
Is there a crown on there for a reason also?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the other symbolism. It's been interpreted different ways. You got what looks like apparently a howitzer barrel. Why a howitzer barrel? It doesn't really associate directly with Arnold. It's just maybe decorative. And indeed, you have like some kind of laurel wreath and a crown or coronet of some kind. But different people interpret it different ways. Unfortunately, John Watts de Peyster, who commissioned this bas-relief, didn't leave us
Now, and he was John Watson Placer, general himself in the Union Army. Is that what I read in the book?
That's right. Yes, that's right. Yep.
Is there any truth to some of the reports that as Arnold is shot, that the horse falls on him, and then he's about to be captured or something, and he shoots the guy? No, that's all complete BS.
Completely, yeah.
All right, that's what I want to find out.
Yeah, the contemporary evidence,
There's nothing to it.
no, Daniel Day-Lewis, Bruce Willis, none of them. No. He's mounted on horseback. He joins the 12 riflemen, headed up by Joseph Morris, the major of the rifle battalion, coming up through the rear of this fortification. He's just an independent guy. I mean, Benedict Arnold, I didn't get too much into it, but Benedict Arnold had been effectively removed from command by the time of the Second Battle of Saratoga. Not formally removed from command, but effectively removed from command. Meaning that he was still, at this point, third in command of the army. He still commanded the left wing of the army, but he was not given leave to actively command it. So when the battle was going to start on the 7th of October and Horatio Gates needed to send troops to the battle, he's going to send Arnold's division, Four's Brigade, Lerner's Brigade. And what he does, what he would have done in the first battle, he would have told Arnold to send out those brigades. They're Arnold's brigades. But in this case, he totally circumvented Arnold, and he ordered his deputy adjutant general, a 19-year-old James Wilkinson, to order out the brigades directly, which Gates can do, but that's kind of a breach of military protocol. If you have brigades in a division, you don't go to the brigadier generals directly and order them out. You go to the divisional commander to order them out. But Gates had no interest in allowing Arnold to participate anymore. And so Wilkinson ordered the brigadiers out, both Four and Lerner, and they did so. They went out. Arnold found out. Arnold decided that he was going to participate too. He was going to show them and everybody else that he is the fighting general, and he goes out there on horseback on his own initiative without a formal command. Even though they're his troops, he does not go out there because he had allowance to command. He does issue orders. He tells them to do this and that during the course of the battle. One American officer in his journal actually said that while they were going to make their assault on the Balcarres redoubt at Stop 6, that they would have gotten in the fort at the same time as the retreating British, because the Americans were that fast and on the heels of the British. But he says Arnold stopped us and had us reforming our lines and getting us into better order, which delay caused us to get to the fort too late. So, if anything, Arnold was a hindrance in the Second Battle of Saratoga, according to the people who were actually there at the time. And Benedict Arnold, like I said, saw this attack developing, joined it, and then was famously wounded. Now, some people ask, why was he there if he had no command authority, really? What's he doing out on the battlefield? Well, this is probably the reason. Benedict Arnold's commission history is long and difficult. He would be here all day to tell you about all the grievous things that have been done against him by members of Congress and other generals and officers in the Army. But basically it comes to this. He was a Major General in the Continental Army. He wanted to be a more senior Major General in the Continental Army because he felt he deserved to be a more senior Major General in the Continental Army, because he was promoted to the rank of Major General too late, meaning 5 other generals beat him out and had seniority over him. He wanted to have seniority over them, and he felt it was his right. And frankly, he has a good case for it, to tell you the truth. So what Arnold decided to do was quit the Army, resign. This is in summer of 1777. He was going to quit. He's had enough. He's going to leave, like General Stark did. Stark up and quit when he didn't get the promotion he felt he deserved. Well, Arnold was going to do the same thing. Washington, though, intervened and said, you know, Benedict Arnold, I think you should stay in the Army. And in fact, I wrote to Congress, Washington says, asking them to send you to the Northern Department to help Philip Schuyler out against Burgoyne's invasion. It appears that Burgoyne is being really successful. He had just taken Ticonderoga and Mount Independence and the Battle of Hubbardton, so things are looking bleak up in the north. And Arnold said, okay, I'll do it. I'll have my letter of resignation tabled, but I'll go up and do some temporary assistance. And through that, I hope that it will prove to people that I deserve to have my commission backdated. So while he's up here, he has put in a request to Congress to vote on his seniority. They vote, and they deny it to him. They say no. you don't get to be more senior. You don't. You can be a major general, but you're going to be lesser than those 5 others promoted over you earlier in the year. Arnold is incensed. Well, how is he going to get the word out that he is this great fighting general? Via his patron. It's the only way to do it. Who's his patron here? Gates. Gates is his patron. And why not? I mean, Gates and Arnold worked well enough in 1776, right? When Gates was in command at Ticonderoga, Arnold building the fleet. Gates had the highest opinion of Arnold. So there was no reason for Arnold to think anything less of Gates than that he would put in a good word for him. So what happened in the Battle of Freeman's Farm? Remember Arnold feeding those regiments into the battle? Kind of a conservative approach for Arnold, frankly. He's usually on the front line, sword drawn, making a charge on the enemy, but not there. No, he's feeding troops into the battle, piecemeal, and successfully. I mean, it's a tactical loss, but it's a strategic victory for American arms. And Gates lauded the American army, saying, yeah, they did great, as he's writing to John Hancock about the first battle. Yeah, they did brilliantly. And this regiment did well, and that commander did well, everybody did well. And guess who Gates doesn't mention in his report? Arnold. And this is a letter to the President of Congress, So Arnold gets a copy of the letter, and he is incensed. This is where the so-called Arnold-Gates feud begins to develop. And between the battles of Saratoga, it was like two children arguing back and forth about he said, she said. It was pretty terrible. It got worse as time goes on. And in the end, Arnold accused Gates of being jealous of, quote, my courage and leadership, quote unquote. Arnold said, I am, quote, treated as nothing more than a cipher in the army. I am repeatedly ill-treated and abused at headquarters, etc., etc. He's laying out all these cases for all this abuse and discrimination against him. And then it gets so bad that Gates just ignores him. He just, whatever, Arnold, you can stay here if you want. I'm not going to kick you out of the army, but you're never going to actively command anything. And I'll be damned if I'm going to put in a good word for you, because there's no need to, because you're not going to be an active commander on the field of battle. So now it's the Second Battle of Saratoga. Arnold has his letter of resignation tabled. Arnold has had his seniority denied. He's not in a good place. So the only and perhaps last opportunity he will ever have to prove himself is right here in the second battle. And there goes the troops from his division, not through his authority, to go to the field of battle. He's going to go out there anyway. That's why he's here, and he is severely wounded in the left leg. Horatio Gates, in his letter to the President of Congress regarding the Second Battle of Saratoga, refers to Arnold. He doesn't in the first battle, but he does for the second battle. And he says that the, quote,